kind of
Running. Three, but mine were real far.
It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. This is a special called meeting of the Board of Trustees of San Marcos CISD. Tonight is December 4th, 2023. It is 6 o'clock at San Marcos High School. I am calling this meeting to order and declaring that we have a quorum. We have 6 trustees present, 1 trustee absent. We do not have anybody, as far as I'm aware, here to speak for public forum, so we'll move directly into agenda prep for the regular scheduled board meeting of December 18th. Mr. Superintendent.
Hi, good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Welcome back. I'll start with item 6A, superintendent recognition. We will have Mr. Underwood recognizing some of our fine arts students. Item 7, reports and information items, academics. We'll present our CCMR update, and we have Miss Eileen Fowler and the other members of the academic team who are here. If you want to, they have in their mind what they want to present, but if you want to give them some suggestions after I'm done, they're here, so that way they can put what I think would be what it is that's appropriate for the board to take up.
Interrupt real quick. I had the impression we'd be talking math since we talked language arts in November.
So I think we should have a conversation now about the CCMR. The superintendent asked me if we could switch CCMR and math the 2 months because we're going to wait then and have the end of the semester math scores.
Wonderful.
So that we can use that real data when we look at math.
So that'll go in January.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'd like to actually talk about what's going to be on that CCMR report now. Is that okay? When you say later, I'm not sure. I mean, we might as well do it now while we're talking about it.
Sure.
Okay. So I told the superintendent that I would like I want to know what our data looks like and where our kids are, right? And what exactly all of the various quadrants and factors are that create the score that we have. But what I'm also really interested in is understanding how each of our various scores and those metrics that the state gives us that we have to meet, how they go in to make up the cumulative score and then our subsequent grade, right? I want to know how much is the PSAT weighted versus how much is finishing English 1 weighted. So I want to understand how those factors come together to give us the grade that we get in that accountability part of the system, right? And I asked specifically that we include the PSAT and SAT data because one, I think that's important for us to know how our kids are doing and how it factors in, and also the gifted and talented and advanced academics, because in my head, those areas factor in significantly when we're talking about graduation rates and academic success rates. Like, that's a key component. We've often talked about how we're serving our gifted and talented students in the secondary level through advanced academics, right? So that's why I think they go together. But if y'all don't agree or there's pushback, I'm open to that, but that's what I was thinking. So, do you guys have other?
No, I think this summer at the TASB conference, TASB gave some presentations about the new ways that this is being factored into accountability, and it is extremely complicated. So distilling it, presenting it again, I think is extremely valuable. It was hard to follow then, and so I think that's important.
In one of the presentations I heard, they actually have percentages that go in and are involved in the calculation. I think we had a presentation at the Central Texas School Board lunch that we made in Austin at TASB. They gave us a pretty detailed one.
I just think that then helps the board determine when we need to prioritize things.
Is it possible to get like ahead of time, like a little script of that so that we can read over it before the meeting and kind of prep? That way we don't have any questions. If it makes sense to us, then we're squared. But that way we're not asking simple questions that maybe we could have gotten by just being able to have like a cheat sheet, so to speak. Does that make sense?
We'll include that in the board book.
Okay, yeah.
I can also, we just had the II.A. commissioner call, last month, so he talked about the accountability system and referenced some PowerPoints, so I downloaded the PowerPoints, so I think I'll get with Mr. Sanders, I think we can put those in. It has pretty good explanations of where we're at and where we're going and how it breaks down each of the domains.
And our numbers for our students, will that be included in this?
That's my expectation.
Okay.
Yeah, that we will see our students' real-time data.
Right.
And have an understanding of how that works together in the composite.
I guess the other thing that might be valuable would be if there were any financial implications for the district for those programs. I don't know how to feed that in. I know we've made investments in some of these programs, and it'd be nice to use this to see how effective those investments have been. That might be a little bigger than this meeting.
Well, we can look at that, but I think yes, what you're asking, so we invest heavily above what the state gives us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for not only gifted and talented, for special ed, so we can put that so you can see, you know, where the state only gives us and then what y'all are committing as a board during the budget
Yeah,
process.
I think that that's valuable for us to know, and the, you know, programs that we're doing in the CTE building and how that's sort of, I don't know how much retrospective we can look at, but are those programs growing? Are we seeing a return on that investment with our student population?
Anybody out there on data we potentially couldn't have? Like, I know ACT doesn't give us, they don't give us district data.
Sure.
I think,
So you'll have the 22? Yeah, 21, 22. Okay.
That's okay.
And we will be able to show through the presentation what tracking systems we have in place.
Mhm.
To monitor, to make sure that our students are on track to earn CCMR points. So that's a big portion of the presentation, is to show you the different tracking mechanisms, because it encompasses multiple, well, it's all academics, but there's multiple pieces.
Mhm.
And so how all the pieces come together from central office support to the high school.
Okay.
I mean, I think one of the things that Dr. Salmi is saying is that when we get to the point where we're developing the strategic plan, right? We want to be able to have the information and the knowledge to decide purposefully, like, are we going to make further investment in this area because we know that that is benefiting our students, they're taking advantage of it, they're succeeding at it, and we're getting the accreditation from the state, right? The points. Or are we going to do this because it is a popular program here, it's good for the kids, we're going to make the decision that the state doesn't weight it as heavily, right? But we value that. So I think we need this information so that we can make those decisions with intentionality.
We'll have that for you.
Thank you.
PSAT that was administered in October, isn't it like the first week of December you start getting results?
We have the results, we do have the results from that.
So because it's the one time in the year.
Who took the PSAT? Which grades?
10th and 11th.
10th and 11th.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, thanks.
All right, well, good. President Halsey covered 7A, 1, 2, and 3. That's great. 7B, operations update. Mr. Sandoval will have the operations update. 7C, communications. We'll have Mr. Brent Alexander, who will present our demographic update, which I think has some housing and stuff. I think it's important for y'all to see, you know, what's coming in the future. 7D, finance. We will do the 2023 school district report value study. Mr. Doyle, I'm sure will be doing that.
Yeah, our representative from Weinberger, Robbie Warwick.
Item 8A, approval of minutes of regular scheduled board meeting on November 13th, 2023, and special board meeting on December 4th, 2023. And then currently, item 9, items for action under A, Board of Trustees. Number 1, the discussion and possible action to approve the resolution to adopt the redistricting of the school board of trustees to 7 single-member districts within San Marcos CISD. I
we
don't
hold
know
it
if
for-
there's anything that y'all need from us.
Yeah, do we
to
need
have.
does anybody feel like we need to have any more information, reports on that item, or are we just ready to discuss and vote?
I don't need anything.
Okay.
Okay.
Item 9B, human resources. We have 2 items. One is consider approval of new positions for Bonham Pre-Kindergarten, and 2, consider approval of new position for De Zavala Elementary School. And there, you told me something today, but I forgot.
Well, for that one, it's 1 teacher for ACL and 3 aides at Bonham. Desabala is 1 instructional assistant.
Item 9C, operations. Number 1, consideration and possible action on architect's proposed schematic design for the 2023 bond site package 1 project. which is,
So bond, site package one is all of the parking lot repairs and asphalt that we're gonna do over the summer. And it also includes the expansion of the De Zavala parking lot and also the bottom parent pickup and drop-off on the. So part of the operations update in, above is going to be Perkins and Will coming in and introducing y'all to, or sharing that with y'all, and then y'all will vote on that. We'll have that in your board book too before, so y'all can take a look at it.
So is this related to the high school? So I know that we had some parking lot stuff that was happening at the high school from the other bond, the previous bond that involved the practice pad resurfacing and stuff like that. This is different.
This is different, and that 2017 bond is
There we go.
supplemental.
Yes.
High school, we decided just to do that at the 2023 bond. So we're working on that right now.
Okay.
But this is for Bonham, DC, and
Okay.
the parking lots that we're gonna repair, asphalt, and stripe.
Bowie.
Okay.
I think Bowie is one of them.
From the new bond.
I think it would be valuable to get an update on the closeout of that 2017 bond on all of those projects as we start moving into working through the newer bond projects. Is that something that we could get maybe in January? I don't
I can
want to.
certainly have that for you in January.
Okay.
Sorry, just making sure we get that.
Would y'all be open to having that, because there's no action item, there's more of just an update at this meeting, at the special board meeting, that update, or do y'all want it at the regular?
I think an update at the special board meeting is very appropriate.
Item 9D, Finance, 1, Procurement. A, consideration and possible action on ranking of proposals in response to the school district's request for proposal for construction manager at risk services for the SMCISD 2023 bond projects identified as number 1, elementary schools renovation and transportation project, 2, middle schools renovations project, 3, San Marcos High School additions and renovations project, and 4, the natatorium project. And then item 10, closed session is authorized by Texas Government Code 551.076. A, deliberation regarding safety and security, including safety personnel systems, intruder audit reports, infrastructure, and/or devices. And then, based on a conversation that Trustee Halsey and I had today at II.A, we'd like to add another item for discussion. I think Trustee Lopez has another safety update in closed session that we'll adjust so the numbers are appropriate.
Is there anything else anybody has at this time that they would like to add to this agenda?
Well, I don't know if it needs to be on the agenda, but we still haven't really met to discuss what is necessary to create a SMCISD police force. And I know that school board members have, volunteered. There's 3 of us that wanted to serve in that capacity to understand and create a sort of a subcommittee or whatever we're gonna call it. And I'd like to get an update on that. I haven't yet gotten that, and it hasn't met yet. Okay. So that's one thing, and I don't know if it's an agenda item.
I think we can.
But we had requested that to be formed and to participate, and I haven't gotten any status update on that.
Okay, so should we do you just want to have a meeting put on the books, and that would, like, a
Could
first
do it
meeting
as a
for
special
the?
board meeting if we're not taking action that first one.
That's fine, yeah.
Shouldn't we agree on like a charter
Yeah, I mean,
statement for that? I think going forward, every time we commission any kind of committee or subgroup, we should have a charter that it has basically what the board wants this group to do.
Okay,
And it doesn't have to be real complicated, but what is the goal?
and who's
And
on
that,
it?
yeah, because I think there was some confusion the last time when we had the redistricting. There were some other ideas for this committee brought up for
Yeah.
that group, and it ended up being a 7-0 only.
Yeah, understood.
So that was our fault because we did not give clear direction and guidance. So, and I can start a charter and send it out and see you know,
Perhaps we could,
for feedback.
and
or-
perhaps we could have it available to vote on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Kind of need to go back to your motion, if your, what your motion stated, and then from there, build your committee, and then elect a chair.
Yeah.
And then have like a little planning committee, meeting. When you start off with a board committee, you need to go back to your motion to see what we approved.
Yeah, there was a motion 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
You go
I think it was in
September?
September.
I think it was September.
Yeah.
We'll go back
I
to that.
remember.
Yeah, you need to look at your motion to see what we voted on, that we said we were gonna do.
Agendas for that?
I mean, I feel like at
I
this
think it was
point,
an
though, I hear what you're saying, and I think that's absolutely true. I think that if we get the motion, maybe we can get the motion, send it to Brian. Brian can look and see out of the motion what the charter seems to be, send that out to the board, make sure we're all in agreement that, yes, that is what we envisioned. And if there, you feel like there's an addendum that needs to be made to that, or
Bring that up in the
specificity or
meeting.
changes, right?
Okay.
But otherwise, it seems to me like what we need to just do is then go ahead and get that committee a meeting scheduled so that there can be a first meeting. Because I really think that meeting, that I envision that the committee will come up with, certainly we've given them the charge, but the committee will come up then with a
We've begun
proposal,
the
right?
process, because we've got the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I don't know that we decided on a makeup of this committee. I know there was a couple of board members that volunteered,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I think we need.
isn't that critical that there's like,
Yeah.
there's,
Absolutely.
that will probably have to be added to, the addendum, since that wasn't in the original,
Right, okay, yes. So let's just
So-
add it as an item for action.
In the next
in
meeting.
In the December meeting,
Yeah.
where we have a discussion and action item on the charge of that committee, what it looks like, how we're
Makeup
constituting
of it
it.
and stuff,
And
yeah.
That'd be
then at that point, direct
Mhm.
staff to, from there, to set a meeting
I think
for
that's
the
great.
subcommittee. Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Madam President, I made a mistake
I had forgotten about this committee.
on we'll have a public hearing, I'm being told by
Okay.
yes, for the school board, for the December, the first report. So we'll have to have a public hearing,
For what?
the first financial first report.
Oh,
I missed it here,
that'll be in December?
yes.
Okay,
That's right, it's
Okay.
item 4,
okay,
public meeting to discuss the district's rating on the state's financial accountability system.
okay.
Where is it?
My apologies, item 4 on page 1.
I thought we already, didn't we?
We do that yearly in December.
Okay.
First ratings come out typically October, November timeframe.
Well, we got the audit report last, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. So that'll be, I think we'll add it under 9A, Board of Trustees, as a second item there. So discussion of committee, charter,
So it'll be 3 under B?
two under A.
Oh, 2 under A.
President Halsey,
Yes.
this is looking ahead a little more, but I want to make sure that we are still on track to do a mid-year superintendent review in January.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I think one thing we need to talk about is when we're gonna do the board self-evaluation.
Okay.
And if we wanna go ahead and try to do that at the December meeting, this agenda's getting full. But we could do a preliminary conversation on that. We could, all complete self-reflections, have a conversation about that first. We could also wait and do it. It's a lot to do that and the superintendent's review in January.
Yeah.
We could begin the discussion and look at possible forms that we would use for self-evaluation, because there's several out there. We would check with CASB to see
Yeah.
what they have. And I know that Juan Cruz and I talked about that many times, and some people were not in favor of being self-evaluated.
Would you, since you have spent, I think, probably the most time on this particular item, would you mind looking for those forms and sending them out to the board this week so that everybody, I mean, I think it'd be great if everybody took a look at the forms and did an initial self-reflection on, I don't know how many forms there are, but
I can look, and then maybe what I find I can circulate to everybody to start
Yeah.
looking at. But I'm traveling this week, so it's,
I just think in terms of making sure that we're using the time as constructively and productively as possible, so that we're spending the least amount of time on like debating process and the most amount of time on
Do you want me
actually.
to just reach out to Cinto Ramos and see if he has a self-evaluation form that he can
and
get
do
us?
it as part of our team of 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be great to see 2, but if we can only see 1, then that's whatever it is, but I think let's just
I
get
think I have
going.
one that Juan Cruz sent me, and I'd have
Okay.
to go look for it,
So
though.
let's add that to also the closed session.
One more,
So you want it in closed session?
Disconnect your microphone.
I don't know.
In the closed session, your self-evaluation. My evaluation. can
Not-
be-
Let's find out.
Yeah, let me call.
one more item that
Done yours, Jim.
may not be on the agenda, but I'd requested a report, summary report on some topics related to extracurricular activities,
Yes.
financial expenditures, and student participation.
Yes, so when a board member, so everybody knows, when a board member sends an email and asks for a report by law, we have 20 days, 20 business days. So December 18th is the deadline.
Okay.
But we are working on it, so we will send that out to the board
Okay,
before the 18th of December.
okay.
But Mr. Underwood, Mr. Doyle, Coach Walsh, Ms. Sanders are all,
Okay,
we have a document already created that answers your questions.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then that'll be distributed to the whole board.
Yes, ma'am,
Thank you.
yes.
Anything else? Hello, Ms. Viapandu.
So,
Questions, additions, comments? All right. Seeing none, then we will return to the regular agenda. We've talked about the public meeting to discuss the district's rating on the state's financial accountability system. And I think we can now entertain, unless there's anything else, a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
And Ms. Viapandu will, I think, second that. All in favor?
Second?
Thanks, everyone.